Good morning, everybody. Auronnj here with another Final Fantasy 7 FF7 video, and the dungeon ranking scoring event is live as of about an hour ago. I've managed to go through, clear each of the dungeon once, but that very hard run right there, that thing is tough. Like, if you're planning on clearing all symbol enemies, you better have a really good team. So what I want to do here is give you some tips and tricks to get in there, start working on building up some high scores. This is going to be an event that we're not going to probably see the top scores until the end as people increase their power and kind of learn how to get high scores. So I want to walk you through some early tips I have here so you can begin your process of finding your scores easier. So let's get into it. Now, first of all, I'm in group 14. You can see right now I'm in 59th place, but this is definitely not a top 100 score that I have. If we go into attempt right here, I'm going to go ahead and go into the very hard to give you these tips because really these first two aren't that bad. But if we jump into the very hard mission right here, the first tip I want to give is a little bit of a team building tip. I think one thing you're going to want to focus on is building around either fire or ice damage. In this case, I'm focused around building Sephiroth teams. Like, Sephiroth is my big DPS dealer. I have him equipped with his buffing sword, the Auronnj, and then his event sword with that big ice hit. I'm also running Shiva. You can see I have Lucia carrying Shiva for me right here. So that's another big ice hit I can do. Then the rest of my team is built around amplifying Sephiroth's damage. One of the ways you score points in this event is by hitting a giant score. Like, your biggest damage attack during the run will amplify your score. So what I have here is I have Matt as my healer because in very hard, you're going to need a healer. So Matt's here with his healer, but he's also equipped with his Stingray, which has a magic defense debuff on it. Now, this is a weapon I'm going to be leveling some more over the course of the next couple days. I didn't realize how much I would need this. I really need this for this run. So I'm going to be working on that. I've already got his healing weapon ready. Then with Lucia, I'm bringing her with her ice element resist debuff. So on those bosses that are weak to ice, I can debuff their magic resist, debuff their ice defense, and then pop them with a Shiva, pop them with, you know, my boy Sephiroth here and his aerial frostblade, which, oh my gosh, the attack animation on aerial frostblade, as you'll see here in a second as I show it off, is kind of ridiculously long. Like, there are a lot of fights where I'll try to set up his move and he'll be like, oh, I'm coming, I'm gonna get you, and then the other two just kind of kill him. Okay, first couple tips I want to give. This is a tough dungeon. You immediately can start collecting chests, but one way to score more points is not using items. Now, on this very hard, on the first two dungeons, like the easy one or the normal one and the regular hard one, don't use any items. If you can get away with it, you'll score more points by doing that. On the very hard one, you must fight this first boss. There's only two bosses you have to fight, this one and the last one. So this first boss is a fire dragon. You're going to see him, or no, this is the fire bird. Fire dragon's the last boss. Let me kind of show you real quick. I'm going to pause it for a second. Let me show you real quick, like, the rotation of moves I'm going to do to try to amplify my damage. So just kind of a little tip right here. So I got it on semi. I'm going to make sure I have Lucia use diving burst. That is that defense debuff to ice resist. Matt's going to use core sting. Sephiroth, I want Sephiroth to use his buff, the frenzied stance. This will greatly increase his ability to do damage. Then I'm going to have him hit with aerial frostblade, and this will just about kill this thing. So here we go, aerial frostblade coming in now. What kind of damage am I going to get? Ideally, I'd like to kill this guy before he does heat wave. Didn't quite do enough damage right there. If I look, I'm going to pause this for a second. If I look at the enemy, this guy is weak to ice. I don't know, like, what debuffs have I landed on him at this point? Did I break the game? Looks like I broke the game. Well, there's a pro tip for you right there. Do not try to open the menu during fights. That seems to crash the game. So there, I can debuff his ice resist, and then Sephiroth's hitting him for like that 17, 18k. I will have a lot higher hitting damage numbers than that on the final boss, but there's that one. So take advantage of your debuffs when you can land them on the mobs that you can. And let's check out real quick right here what the kind of, like, how it's calculating your scores for your bosses. The big important ones to note are your one hit max damage. You have a lot of control over that. Again, that's kind of what you're building around. Total damage taken, you want to take as little damage as possible. Then total battle time. Now this took me 51 seconds. That's a little long. I think a lot of that was because at some point during that I wasn't able to click anymore. So don't crash the game. The amount of weakness hits you get in there will score you some points, but note that's not nearly as much of a point score as the max damage hit and the total battle time. So early tip here as you're pushing through, I would try to really speed run the first time you go out here. See the kind of points you can get by clearing the bosses that you're going to fight as fast as you can. Now, I bring up bosses you're going to fight. The next thing I want to talk about is the buffs in the dungeon and the different bosses. So right here, I'm going to get a buff. Note this score boost right here, plus 30%. You can take that if you're willing to take that 50% damage hit. That seems really tough. And there's no way on my account right now that I could take that and win without just going straight to like the final boss or maybe hitting one more right now. So what I'm going to take here is I'm going to take ice potency. Now, maybe once you've really figured some things out or you have a more powerful account than I do, you can go for that score boost right there. I'm building around ice. I'm going to take the ice potency. Okay, next tip I want to give is the bosses. Now, like I said, you're only forced to fight a few of the bosses. So what I would suggest doing is figuring out, if you're trying to clear a whole bunch of them, figure out which bosses that kind of suck for you to fight. For example, right here, this is a triple boss fight. So I'm going to get into this one. You can see this is not a boss I chose to fight in my first run. So what boss is this? I bet you it's the 3 soldiers. No, this is 3 monsters. I'm going to throw this straight onto auto and just let my team rock this. By throwing it onto auto, and I'm not going to make you guys watch this whole fight, but I will just give you a couple more tips right here. By throwing it onto auto, Matt will heal. If I have it on semi, and this is just a pro tip for this game, you might end up watching this fight, it's going to go pretty quick. If you have it on semi, you must switch to defense mode for your healer's AI to start healing, and you can accidentally get a lot of characters killed. So that's kind of a tip right here as you're maybe using manual play or semi-manual play for the first time. Okay, I'm going to let my team go ahead and clean this up. You can see we're landing some debuffs here. We got his ice resist down and his magic resist down. Let's see what kind of damage Sephiroth can do on this thing. We're going to take a leaping slash right here. Big damage onto Lucia. I'm going to switch it onto semi-auto play, and I'm going to have Sephiroth use aerial frostblade. And as long as the rest of my team doesn't kill him before this goes off, he removed the debuffs. So dang it, that's too bad. I will get some sigil scores in here. You really, though, like, again, I had it on. I'm going to throw it back on auto. This is just kind of a guide. But you can see right there, I probably missed a chance to get a big hit in. And by messing around like I have been, I've missed out on some things. Let's go ahead. I'm a little worried about him getting this move off. I'm going to drop the limit break. And this is an example of a fight that I definitely want to do early. My team feels like it's built to fight one big boss who's weak to ice element damage, right? That feels like what my team's meant to do, not fight this one. And those 3 soldiers, that's the fight I'm really kind of worried about because I'm really not prepared to fight them. Okay, let's see what kind of damage I finish this thing off with. I imagine the Shiva will kill it. And if you're wondering kind of things that you could be working on, Shiva and Ifrit feel like very good things to be working on to get some of those big hits. Now, let's see the point bonus that I get here. 63,000, so we'll break down the points. That puts me at, you can see my speed at 116 wasn't very good. My 1 hit max damage, though, was pretty good. I broke some sigils, did some weakness hits, but those really just are minor point scoring things. Might make a big difference for some people pushing for like rank 1 or something like that. But I feel like for most of us, that feels like the least impactful thing on there right now. Okay, now let's see here. This time I can take fire and ice potency, just ice potency, or another option for score boost. I'm going to take even more ice damage here, try to help myself on that last fight. And there's an extra fight over here, you guys. There's a red boss over here. Now look, I'm going to just get kind of close to this thing. I'm not going to fight it. 194 recommended power. I don't know if I will be able to beat that by the time this event is over. I think it would be cool if I could, but I just have my doubts. 194 recommended power seems big. Now, I could choose to fight this next sigil enemy over here, kind of increasing the sigil damage of my dungeons. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to clear some trash, start working my way towards that last boss. Okay, as I climb down those stairs, I skipped that triple fight at the top, and then I'm going to get close enough to this sigil boss. You can see it's another triple fight. I'm going to skip both of those and just see what kind of score I can get if I just run to this last boss and clear him. Now, you're always going to spawn another fight on this bridge. On my first run, I believe this is where I got a tent to drop. don't feel bad about using your tint, things like that. Like, don't get frustrated trying to min-max like your first or second run. Just clear, see what kind of points you can get, see what it's going to take to get like top 100, top 1000 in your group, depending on what you're kind of building for. And remember, you do have about a week to clear this thing before the event ends. All right, and there we go. I got my second tint of the run. So the game with those trash mob fights really does kind of hand out some tints if you need them. I'm going to go ahead and pop a tint, and then we're going to go in to this last fight nice and healthy. Let's see how we do, and then let's see what kind of like damage I can do to this boss, and let's see what my final score is. So we're going to load in. I'll skip the boss animation cutscene right here. I'm going to throw it to semi-autoplay. I'm going to make sure Sephiroth, first of all, does his buff. I'm going to start doing debuffs. There's ice resist down. I'm going to get core sting on the boss here in a minute to drop his magic defense. Okay, there we go. Sephiroth, let's see what you can do with one of your aerial frost blades. Now you can see I got 3 tiers of magic down. I got 2 tiers of ice down, 38.2k. That's pretty good. Now I'm going to go ahead and try to kill him. And I didn't do this in the perfect order. I should have done Matt's. I should probably be bringing Matt's damage limit break instead of this one, or the Ifrit summon to get a little bit more damage in here if I'm going to try and like pop the boss. But let's see what kind of damage Shiva can do to this debuffed boss right here. So Shiva will skip the animation. Throw big damage out there, Shiva. Come on, do it. Big damage. 30k again. So we've almost got him killed. I'm going to have Sephiroth throw one more aerial frostblade. Hopefully this kills him before he does any damage to my team. There we go. I got him. Again, not worried about breaking those sigils. Just trying to get my Sephiroth, especially on these big hard bosses, to do the most damage he can. And then what I'm going to do, kind of my plan for tomorrow, as I work my way through this a little bit more, is do like one more sigil enemy a run and really try to kill the ones that annoy me the most first. I think that's one of the biggest tips. Now note here, I killed that thing in 34 seconds. A nice score multiplier there. My max damage hit was pretty good for me. That scores me 10,000 points, and I barely took any damage, which scored me 23,000. My previous score, just clearing the first boss and the last boss, was a B+. Let's see what my score increases to just by clearing 3 bosses. Again, someday I might consider that red boss. We'll see how much power I can get. I wasted most of my stamina potions getting this group ready. I upgraded to an A, so still 3 sigil enemies out there for me to do. That extra bonus, don't know what that is. Maybe the red boss. Score buff bonus, that's where you get those bonus multipliers. So I didn't go for either of those things. You can see the potential to get a lot more score. Just doing what I did right there put me at 74th place at 1.3 million. So there it is. Maybe I'll be competitive. My goal, I guess, is going to be top 100. If I'm really lucky, maybe top 10. I'm in group 14. If you're in group 14, just don't beat me. The rewards here are pretty good. If you look at the ranking rewards, top 1,000 feels like a very reasonable goal for people to shoot for, because right there in top 1,000, you're going to get the 10 gacha tickets that are the 4-star guaranteed ones, plus the 10 regular gacha tickets. If you can get top 500, you get these like catalyst materials, and then really top 100, that's where you start getting those titles, and top 10, I mean, you're probably a big whale at that point. So there we go, guys. That's kind of my first impressions. It is a little bit buggy right now, I will say that. So if you run into some bugs, I think they'll probably be patching over the next few days, and maybe we'll hit enough bugs where they hook us up with some longer time here. I've already appreciated the amount of time we've got. That's allowed me to level up my Shiva. I'm going to probably bring Ifrit in here too, see if he can help boost my scores a bit. So that's my first impressions. That's my first tips. If you have any big tips for people, please do drop those in the comment section. Good luck on your runs, y'all, and I'll see you next time. Peace.